First tonight, how taxes affect Montanans.
I'm Jonathan Amberian in Helena. If you're a homeowner in Montana, chances are you may have received a letter like this one telling you about some big changes coming to the property tax system. I'll have a closer look at how the legislature's changes from earlier this year are now going to impact property tax bills.
Plus, more ripple effects are being felt from the government shutdown, what the absence of key economic data could mean for the coming year and later. How one bands together to support the community in uncertain times.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Well, thank you for trusting KRTV for your 10 o'clock news. I'm Tom Wiley. First this evening. Across Montana, homeowners are starting to see the first evidence of the changes the lawmakers made to property taxes earlier this year. But the arguments over tax legislation that started during the legislative session are still playing out now. MTN senior political reporter Jonathan Amberian has a closer look at what the impacts have been so far and what's coming next.
After 4 months of discussion and debate at the Montana legislature, lawmakers eventually rolled out a pair of bills that completely reshaped Montana's property tax rates. This year, the new rates are graduated, so homes worth more pay a higher rate. Governor Greg Gianforte and his allies have praised the impacts of the new system. The governor's office shared statistics this week from the Montana Department of Revenue, saying about 80% of Montana homes will see their property tax cut, and another 10% will remain flat.
The median house in every area is lower, so it is doing on residential what it meant to do.
Representative Lou Jones, a Republican from Conrad, was one of the main backers of the legislature's property tax reform. He says without the changes, an even bigger share of the property tax burden would have landed on residences.
In particular, the upper end residential, and in certain portions of the state, the market value went up and continued to increase. So, yeah, the pull onto residential from the other classes would have generally continued.
But Senator Carl Glimm, a Republican from Kyla, says he's hearing from people unhappy with the changes as well.
A lot of commercial people are seeing their property taxes go up, and that transfers into just we're hurting Montana business. We're supposed to be a pro-business state. We're supposed to be looking out for the mom and pop shop, and really what we're doing there is raising their costs, which means that they have to pass them on to the consumer.
Glimm had advocated for using state tax revenue to offset property taxes, which he said would have allowed for real reductions rather than simply shifting the burden.
The state has had a lot of money in the last few years, but we haven't been willing to put any of that towards property tax relief. And that's, I think, what needs to happen.
Don't get too used to the property tax rates you're seeing this year. They're only temporary. Next year, a new homestead tax system will be implemented. That means lower property tax rates on primary residences, long-term rentals, and smaller commercial properties, but higher rates on properties that don't qualify. You will need to apply in order to receive the homestead rate, but many homeowners will have received letters like this one in the last month, saying they're automatically qualified to receive the homestead rate if they received the tax rebate on primary residences earlier this year. Jones says he expects most people who qualify for the homestead exemption on their home will get automatically enrolled. But those who don't, as well as people with long-term rentals, will need to apply starting December 1st. In Helena, Jonathan Amberian, MTN News.
It was gusty again today in portions of north central Montana. Some locations saw wind gusts over 40 miles per hour today, including Cascade, Lewistown, Loma, Great Falls, Dudden, and Havre. And a few spots saw wind gusts over 60 miles per hour today, including Delwell, which is 18 miles west of Bynum, a peak wind gust of 69 miles per hour. And Geyser and Judith Peak had a peak wind gust of 62 miles per hour. We're still dealing with gusty winds right now along the Rocky Mountain front, as well as in southern portions of north central Montana, including in Cascade County, Judith Basin County, and Fergus County. High temperatures today were in the 50s and low 60s, so it was another mild day. And for a lot of us, these high temperatures actually occurred at midnight. Right now, temperatures range from the upper 20s to the upper 40s, with coldest temperatures along the high line. There were scattered rain and mountain sun showers around throughout the day today. And for the past few hours, there has been some rain and snow along the high line as a Canadian cold front has been working its way through our area. And I'll let you know how long this precipitation will be sticking around in my full forecast in a few minutes.
Stock indexes were mixed Friday as a lack of economic data muddied the waters for investors and analysts who are preparing their outlooks for 2026. Without key economic data due to the government shutdown, Scripps News Group and business tech correspondent Maura Barrett looks at how uncertainty is contributing to Wall Street's slide.
The government shutdown over, but the economic effects will linger, according to Kevin Hassett, the director of the National Economic Council.
Our Council of Economic Advisors said that it cost about $15 billion a week.
Wall Street responded on Thursday, sinking to its worst day in a month. Traders also questioned whether cuts to interest rates will actually happen, considering the delay in economic data, like the monthly jobs report or inflation metrics, leaving officials without the full picture. Investopedia's Caleb Silver says investors initially entered the second half of the year expecting multiple cuts.
Now the picture looks a little bit cloudier because we don't have hard government data, but the Federal Reserve is looking at the fact that prices continue to rise, that's inflation due to tariffs and other causes, and the labor market is slowing.
Earlier this week, White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt blamed Democrats for the lack of, quote, critical government data.
The Democrats may have permanently damaged the federal statistical system with October CPI and jobs reports likely never being released.
Hassett says data will be compiled and released, but confirms some information will stay in the dark.
But we will never know what the unemployment rate was in October because there wasn't a household survey.
With high valuations and anxiety around an AI bubble, Silver says it's understandable for investors to be on edge.
A pullback like this, 5% or so, is not crazy, especially in a year where we've had such aggressive gains.
Maura Barrett, Scripps News Group, Denver.
Evan Charney and Helena, where people are stepping up to help their neighbors in uncertain times. I'll show you how.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Well, the last few weeks have brought uncertainty for where people can get their food from. The community of Helena has stepped up to support those in need. MTN's Evan Charney with more.
There's been a lot of uncertainty recently, but one thing's constant. The people of Helena care.
You can see that right here at the Rocky Mountain Development Council.
We're stronger when everyone's doing well, right? And so we want to make sure the people that are struggling get the help they need to do well, to strengthen our community and improve their lives.
The longest government shutdown in U.S. history just ended. But during those 43 days, people who relied on SNAP to buy food were unsure if those federal benefits would come through. That's where programs like congregate dining, the Commodity Supplemental Food Program, and Meals on Wheels come in. They all offer food resources for seniors, many of whom are on SNAP.
In times of need like this or uncertainty, it's great to have these programs for people, and that's what they're designed for.
During the government shutdown, RMDC saw more people applying for those programs. Right now, they have 50 regular routes for the Meals on Wheels program, with over 200 meals sent out daily.
With the SNAP pause, we have had an increase in folks requesting frozens, and we've seen some new applicants of people wanting to get onto the Meals on Wheels program as well.
RMDC also saw something else increase, their volunteer numbers. With almost 100 people helping out, this is the most volunteers the organization has ever had.
When things are difficult in society, we typically tend to see an increase in volunteerism, which is wonderful.
Organizers are appreciative of the overwhelming support Helena has shown, especially in the face of increasing need.
I think it's safe to say, despite what happens in the coming weeks, months, we'll be able to handle any additions that we get.
RMDC is always looking for volunteers. If you want to help out, check out our website for more information. In Helena, Evan Charney, MTN News.
Students across the country today honored a civil rights icon, Ruby Bridges, the 6-year-old girl who integrated a New Orleans school in 1960. In Helena, students laced up their shoes for the annual National Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day. Students walked from home and different meeting points across the area, ending at school where they learned more about Bridges' story and activism. Bridges' walk 65 years ago today was very different than what students experience today. There was legalized segregation in Montana's schools until 1883, but in practice, segregation persisted long after, until it was addressed through civil rights legislation in the mid to late 20th century.